Hey, what's going on, guys? Cliff and Denny with On Your Own Outdoors. Hey guys, it's summertime, so you know what that means? It's time to knock out some gear review. The stand we got to talk about today is the new climber from XOP called the Reaper. This thing is a freaking handful. It is large and in charge. So if you're a big boy and you've been talking to me about those big boy climbers and my messages and stuff, XOP's got one for you today. But just so you guys know ahead of time before we even get in this is not their lightweight climber. This is the big version of the climber. The lightweight version is real. I've laid eyes on it. It's coming. We're going to be able to update you guys in January on where that's at. But as of right now, let's focus on this Reaper and what's in front of us right now. I guess the first thing about it is just know their goal with this is to have it out before rifle season. Most people's rifle season come in the first part of November. This thing is expected to be available online the end of October, early November. So let's get fold flat, huge climber. 350 pound weight rating. The platform is a 31 by 22. That is 31 inches by 22 inches. That thing is absolutely huge. The seat is an 11 by 21, so a giant seat. It's got large bands. You're gonna be able to put on a big tree. I tested it out the other day. It still works on a smaller tree, but it does like the big tree best. So we're gonna do this thing just like we do the rest of them, guys. We're gonna go over this thing, go over all the things about it, the pros and the cons as I see it. We'll wait till the end. We'll finish up with the pros, so we end with a smile on our face. But let's get into this thing. So number one thing you can see here, guys, is it folds flat. This is a shooting rail or a sit bar. We'll get into that in a minute. Total weight of this thing is right above 20 pounds. Once you take that front bar off, you're looking at right about 18 pounds. That thing weighs about 2 pounds on its own. So anyways, let's bust this dude and start talking about it. So talking about this first, the way that you see it's packed here, it just lays over on top of itself. That comes with this little strap here. We'll kind of get that thing off. And the way we're going to do this, guys, is we're going to talk about the top, and then we're going to talk about the bottom, and then we'll get it on the tree, and we'll talk about how it bites into the tree and all those kind of things. All right, so the first thing you see here, it comes with the strap. Got a little hook on this end. This is the style that I run on my climber right now. If you've never ran one of the fold flat climbers that's got one of these kind of bungees on it, they're super beneficial, and the only reason is once I clip this down on the bottom, so I'll clip that down on the bottom, and then I'll stretch these over the top of my bag so that I can use that thing more almost like a frame pack whenever I put my bag and everything else on it. I just scared the crap out of my cat. So next thing we're going to talk about is the top. Over here on the sides, kind of show you these guys. It's kind of the same style, but what you're going to do is you'll just push that dude up using your fingers to push those tabs. Once you get it in the spot you want, you just roll them and then they lock in. This is the top. The way that these things work, as we all know, I'm not a huge fan of this mechanism, but it is actually just like the old XOP stand. So you'll take this guy, roll it all the way out. Once you see this is all the way out, you can pull that guy out of there, and then you can adjust it to the size that you want it on the tree. Whenever you get it around the tree, you literally just take it, stick it back in the hole there, go to where you want it, make sure these guys are lined up, push it back through like that, and then you'll run this dude all the way back down. Like I said, everybody knows I'm not a huge fan of this kind of locking mechanism, but it is what it is. It's a fold flat climber, so there we go. But anyways, that's kind of the top. We'll go over the shooting rail once we actually get it up in a tree. Let's talk about the bottom because it works pretty similar to the top there. So the bottom, like I said, guys, you big boys, it's the same thing. The one plus side is with it having a little bit of weight on it, you just kind of let that dude slide back. You're going to do the same thing over on the sides. You're going to turn these, making sure that they lock in, and then you're good to go there. And it's the same little locking mechanism here. You'll spin that dude all the way out so that it's got room to slide through, but you'll spin that dude all the way out, push it through like this, and then pull your cable. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get the top and the bottom on the tree so that we can talk about this thing on a tree. Guys, with the fold flat climber, so even if I didn't have the bar on right here, I like to rest these things on my thigh. It just makes it a little bit easier to get everything going. I push that dude through, run this guy all the way back up, Now you've got your top set up on the tree. And what I like to do with mine is I'll take it, put it way up above my head, pull it tight. Now work on the bottom. When you're putting the bottom on the tree, guys, I always like to kind of rest it up against the top of my thigh here. Take the cable. I like these. These are those rubberized material cables. They're extremely flimsy, but I like them, and the reason being is I can do that. I can just kind of pitch it around the tree to myself. I'm not over here trying to grab a hold of it. And the cable itself doesn't make a lot of noise like the chains and stuff like that you see on some of the other climbers. When you get ready to feed this thing in, guys, I don't know how well you can see it from back there, but you have to kind of push up on that little tab that you loosened off. It's kind of a safety feature, so if you was to forget to put it on there, hopefully it like falls into place. But you kind of push up like that, slide that dude all the way in, and then do the same thing. Just push it back down. Before you even tighten it, you can make sure that you've got the angle that you want. If I was gonna climb, that's kind of the pitch that I would want, but since I'm gonna keep this down low for the video, I'm gonna back it back off. But we'll go with something like that. It's still a little bit of an angle, but it'll work for what we're doing here. So now we've got that dude on the tree, let's get in it. So the plus side about having the bar on top is you can use it as like a handle to help you get yourself up in the tree. If you find yourself down in the river bottoms, one thing that you're gonna realize is the base of the trees are a whole lot bigger than the top. They're not like poles. So a lot of times you'll end up, to make it easier as you climb, one thing that you wanna do, what I try to do is always set my climber about thigh high, the top of my thigh high, off of the ground, so that I don't have to have such of a big kick up angle and you're not making as many adjustments as you go up the tree. But now that we've got this thing on the tree, like I said, you can kind of grab a hold here, use it to help you get up in the tree, and then you're in this guy. So I do like these tabs here better than the ones I've seen on some of the other stands. The only thing about this is there's some play in that. So if you end up with one of these stands, make sure that if you're gonna leave this rail on there, you get you a little bit of electrical tape, wrap it around the end of that, so that if you end up bumping it and you bump it back towards the stand, you don't get that kind of ting noise that you're hearing there. I do like these little push pins better than the ones that come over and latch on top of their stuff, because once this is in there, you get your little piece of tape, you can move it around, it's not gonna make a whole bunch of noise. Whereas if you have one of those little flap over pins, I don't even know what they're called, whenever they're kind of dangling, or if you accidentally leave them up, you'll end up bumping those and making some noise. But if you end up getting one of these, make sure you wrap that dude in electrical tape. But this is one setting here. You get 4 different settings, and then really you end up with 5, because you can leave this thing hanging if you're gonna use it as sit and climb. So I'm gonna show you that now. You're just gonna pull the pin on that side, pull the pin on this side, let it dangle. So if you were going to try to climb with this and you didn't want to use it as that hand climber style, you still have the option to use this stand just like this. Down here on the bottom, your feet slide in, and then you can take this dude and use this little swing here as a guide for you to sit on, so you can go up and down the tree. So say I wanted to come on up, bring this dude up like that, bite it in, sit here, and then I can take the weight off, kick that bottom up, and bring it up the tree, and then so on and so forth. If you didn't want to do that, remember guys, and I'm not going to take it off for the video, but remember guys, you do have the option to completely remove this bar, and then if the bar is moved, you're going to use it just like this, just like the other older style hand climber style stands that you're going to use without a bar. Let me take this thing down just a little bit, and then we're going to talk about this rail some more. So one thing I want to talk about guys while I'm getting this thing set up, if you're not new to the channel, I always try to kind of drop this hint. So whenever you're setting up a climber, doesn't matter what climber it is, what I like to do is I like to set my seat top about to my kneecaps. And the reason being is the most comfortable way to sit is almost in a 90-degree angle with your leg there. So if you make sure that whenever you go to set this thing, you set it where it's about kneecap high, it's going to be the most comfort level that you can get. So I'm going to set it about right there. And we're in and ready to go. So you've got your shooting rail here. I'm going to show you all the different options with this thing. So the first option, like we said, is the swing option. To be able to use this thing is like the sit and climb style. The next one is just like this, so it's almost like your traditional style climber. So it just gives you almost that safety net of security around you. So if you're a bow hunter and you're new to the hand style climbers, then you have this here. It's down, it's out of your way. So if I was archery hunting, I can still lean out over this thing and take my shots, especially to my weak hand side. I can still lean over the edge. I can still take those shots. I don't have any issues there. The next thing, we're gonna move it up one. So all it does is kind of can it. So if you were hunting and you did have a rifle, you have this option where you can kind of lean into it and then pull that elbow back into you and kind of lock in real good. The next option that you have, it's a little bit higher. So you can, I'd call this the nap option. So I can lay down and take a nap. But again, it's almost like a security blanket. And then finally, you've got one more option here. And that's the reason I like to say that it's got 5 adjustments. It's only got 4 holes, but that 4th one is going to be all the way down. What's wild is when I was playing with this thing the other day, I actually got my bow out and I had it all the way up like this. I've got buddies that think my climber is super sketchy because it doesn't have a rail on it. And if you were bow hunting out of this thing, as crazy as it looks right now, because this bar is here, but I was shooting my bow just like this. So I almost had the same freedom as I would without the arm on it, but with it all the way up. And then finally, if you were going to archery hunt out of it, start with it up so that you can get comfortable with it. But once you're good with it, the best thing about this thing is you can fold it up out of your way and just have it dangling right there below you. And now you have all of this freedom to take shots just like you would like in a hang-on stand. So one thing I want to talk about before we get out of the stand and then we start talking about the pros and the cons of this stand as I see it, is how I'm sitting right now. So the biggest thing about this stand, and it is about every climber that I do, you will hear me mention it, is how high up I am sitting in this seat. So what people don't realize is they buy a climber for archery hunting and then the climber has a seat that hangs. Whenever you have that seat that hangs, you are going to cost yourself a shot over here on the side because these bars are going to be up here like this. Now there's no doubt they work well for like armrest and stuff like that. However, having that seat that is flush with the bars of your climber up here, these ones right here, it gives you that elevated seat platform so that you can take those shots all the way around you without any kind of obstruction around you. So the big deal about that to me is like whenever I practice shooting my bow sitting down, because I hunt out of a stand like this, there is no difference in me sitting in my climber right now and me sitting on the ground in my little turkey chair and practicing with my bow. Anyways, that's just like a little quick tip to remember whenever you're trying to pick out a climber, is you want something that has you up high. So look for something that's got that seat that runs with the top rail of your stand right here. And I promise you, if you're an archery hunter, you're gonna be way happier about it once you get in the woods, because you're not gonna have to stand up to make every one of those shots. A lot of those shots, if you have it set up where it's, basically from straight in front of you to the back side of the tree, you can take those shots sitting down. And while we're up here, we'll go ahead and talk about it. You have room to run around in circles. This thing is ginormous. It does have up here on the front, there and here, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 holes so that you could put a bow holder on here or some kind of accessory. You can get on XOP's website. They've got different accessories that go on there. The biggest thing about this one to me is like my retrograde has those, but that stand is so small that I really don't feel comfortable running my bow hanger on it. This stand is so big, like you've got all kinds of room up there to put your bow hanger on it and still have plenty of room to sit and be comfortable. All in all, I think this thing is pretty nifty. So what we're gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna get down, I'm gonna stop talking about it, we're gonna start being about it, I'm gonna get down, we're gonna go pros and cons as I see it. All right, guys, I'm down and I'm out of it. Let's talk about this thing. So like I said, guys, we always start with the cons so we can end on a positive note. And I do have a few cons that are not my favorite about this stand. Does it make it not usable? Absolutely not. I think that the market has been needing a cheaper fold flat climber, and you can get this thing for underneath 400 bucks. So that's pretty big deal. But let's go ahead and talk about the cons first. The first con that I'm going to talk about is the strap system up here and the locking mechanism right here for the way that the band itself locks in here. I'm not a huge fan of that, even though this mechanism probably is the safest one out there whenever it comes to being able to lock your cables in and making sure you don't bump those as you go up the tree. The only reason that I think it's a big negative is you're going to have to do a lot of twisting on that to get it all the way down, to be able to raise it up, and it's just time. So the more time you're taking to get up your tree. And the reason why is whenever you find yourself in one of these fold flat style climbers where you're sitting up high like this, I promise you, as you go up this tree, you're going to have to adjust that top more. And the only reason is because of the platform of this. So, you know, if you take a normal climber, you know, they're both sticking off the tree this far, kind of like your bottom. So you get your bottom set and you're good to go. Well, you're not going to be able to climb with this one with it kicked way up here like this. So you have to almost have more of that kind of angle. So as you're going up, you're going to make adjustments on your top, and having that dude like that is just going to take you a little bit more time. It is what it is, and it's noisy. The next negative that I've got is these pins. I wish that they would have put a little rubberized material right here. And the only reason I say that is, like I said, guys, whenever you push it in, you're gonna get that metallic every time. But I think there is a way around that. You can most certainly take you a piece of electrical tape, wrap down here around the bottom of it, and it's gonna give it that buffer where it's not gonna do that. And the final thing that I'm gonna kind of beat them up on right here is the way that these cables kick out the side. So if you look at this here, this is a plus and a minus. So if you look here, see how that cable, it actually kind of comes out the side of your bar. It doesn't come out the straightforward portion of it. Now, one thing about that is that gives the availability for you to be able to use a shooting rail, which makes this stand a multi-purpose stand. And like I always say, guys, I like it whenever a company realizes, like, hey, we can use this as a multi-purpose product. So I understand why they had to kick that out. I really hope that on their lightweight version, they do more of a straight on kind of cable where it comes straight out the front. And the reason I say that is this thing will kind of get in a bind whenever you're trying to pull it through. So it just gives you something, again, it's just time. It's not anything that's gonna cause a safety risk or something that's gonna be too cumbersome to use. It's just more time. And really, guys, that is the only negatives that I have to say about this thing. So let's get into the positive, because I promise that list is a whole lot longer. Positive, 350 pound weight rating. Number one, right off the bat, positive, 31 by 22 platform. Every climber video I post, there will be a big boy on there that's like, when is somebody gonna make a big boy climber? And this is the biggest boy climber that I have ever put my hands on in my life. A guy like me, my size, absolutely. Can I use that climber? Yes. But a guy that is a lot more bigger than me can also use this climber, and I think that that is a big deal. It has a huge platform. So if you are trying to adjust yourself from the big summit style stands and you're not comfortable with a complete open stand, this is going to be an awesome product for you. And the reason being is it still gives you a security blanket, but you can work yourself into it to be more comfortable to that. The number two thing that I like about it is the way that it folds flat. Again, in the market, fold flat climber, gonna be a big deal. Doesn't matter, because I promise you, if you're carrying a Summit and that thing weighs 24 pounds and you put one on like this that folds flat, that holds right up against your back, this thing's gonna feel like it's like 14 or 15, because there's no weight sticking off of your shoulders. It's all right up against your back. The next thing that I really like about it, I like the color, and then I like the locking mechanisms up top and down here on the bottom, so that whenever you fold it out, I like those little screw locks on the outside. It makes it super simple, super easy to use. And I am a huge fan of these bands. If you have never used a climber that's got these, I promise you they are extremely user friendly. I like them because they're stiff enough that they stay away from the tree. So comparing to other stands like the chains, you kind of get them folding back against the tree and they hang and stuff like that. So these are stiff enough, they're gonna stay away from the tree. However, they are bendy enough that you're not gonna have to reach way out here and try to fight that dude back in to get it locked in. So I think that's a big deal as well. And then, like I said, and I know I've already said it, but it's a fold flat climber. XOP, thank you so much. After they got rid of the last climber, I was getting kind of worried, and then they came back and they've got this big boy climber. I'm hoping this is not the end of their big boy climbers. I would really like to see an upgrade on these locking mechanisms on their smaller climber, and I promise you, there's an upgrade. So anyways, guys, that's all I've got for y'all today. That is the XOP Reaper. Again, guys, 2024, end of October, first week of November is when we're going to be able to see these things online. And again, they're trying to get them out right before gun season starts. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you go back and like and comment. If you have any questions over the stand or any other products that you see on my channel, make sure you just drop me a message. I answer just about everybody that's on there. And anyways, guys, until next time, good hunting. We'll see you from a tree. We are right now 10 days out from Arkansas season, and I promise you, if it goes like it should, I'm fixing to make some noise. Anyways, guys, good hunting. We'll see you next time.